we interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you this live broadcast.
Welcome, everybody. We are live from the Croisette of Cannes Lions 2026.
And the entire global media and marketing industry has descended on this one strip of beautiful coastline.
But this year, we're doing something a little different.
Yep.
We'll be cruising along the Croisette in our podcast van, picking up leaders from across the industry.
And we're getting their unfiltered, in-the-moment takes on Cannes.
That's right. This is Commerce Media Matters, Cannes Lions edition.
Let's go! Today's conversations move from technology to strategy.
Yep, we're joined by Stevie Antonioni, Managing Director UK at Adnami, Conor McKenna, Partner at LUMA Partners, and Alice Anson, Director of Digital Media at Nectar 360.
All right, we ready, Andreas? We're good to go. We're recording. We're going to drive.
Mics are good.
Okay. Stevie, welcome to Commerce Media Matters.
Welcome to the show.
Come into the air conditioning.
It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. This is the second best thing to happen to me in the last 48 hours.
What was the first?
The first was bumping into my old boss yesterday, literally halfway down the Croisette, and she was like, "You okay? Where are you going? What are you doing?" I'm like, "I just really need a shower." Yeah. She was like, "My apartment's right here. Do you want to come back for a quick shower?" I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Yeah. I'm like, "I've got 45 minutes. Let's do it." Winning. Just had a beautiful lunch.
Yes.
Stepped into lovely air-conditioned van.
And we'll take you where you need to go.
Winning.
Cannes done right.
Great.
So you arrived yesterday?
Yeah.
No, I arrived Sunday.
Sunday. Okay, so you've had a bit of time on the ground.
Yep.
Yep.
What have you seen so far? What are you hearing?
What are you
the
hearing?
Trends?
How many people have sat in here today and started talking to you about AI?
Like, well, different colours, different flavours, actually.
What is this concept AI you speak of?
Yeah. It's what's been really interesting about that, I'll just jump in before you, is it's really, the theme that's now is it's really about, we've got it, it's execution. It's tangible, and what are the results? So we talk, everyone was up and about last year and like, oh, it was AI and we can do it. And now it's like, well, we need some help. And actually, how can we actually use this better? So that's been the theme of AI.
Yeah.
What are you hearing on your second day?
So I think maybe just because of the context of like my role and Adnami and what we do, a lot of the conversations that I've been having have really been around the use of agentic within platform, using it for optimizations. So we've kind of like got quite into the sort of the nitty gritty of how it can be really used kind of like day to day from that aspect. But the other interesting thing that I'm finding, I think for a few years, the publisher sort of landscape in Cannes went a bit quiet, if I can say that. And actually, I think this year there's been a bit of a resurgence.
That's good to hear.
That's great.
And that's also kind of echoed, I think, in a lot of the conversations that I've been having just out in market over the course of the last sort of like 6 to 12 months, which is a lot of the big agencies, clients are like, okay, we want to invest into premium publishers, quality journalism, we're trying to move money out of platforms. Like, this is an area that we're interested in. Again, I think there's quite a big Press Gazette event sort of like happening. They've got some stuff on the ground with publishers. So that's where I think there's this quite interesting mix between some of the conversations we're having about the agentic and the AI and actually how can that be used to maybe sort of reset some of the sort of like what I would call like programmatic wrongs of the last decade, where we found ourselves in this ecosystem, which is sort of this race to the bottom, where we've enabled this sort of defunding of premium publishers, of news brands, where everyone's just trying to buy the cheapest inventory possible. We've lost sight of like what is quality, what is, premium inventory. Because everyone wants to trade programmatically. You want the automation, and the platforms are designed in a way that has meant that it's that money hasn't flowed as easily. Now with the advent of agentic AI, and you'll hear, I think, a lot of the big SSPs are talking about this as well now.
Yes, we have heard. Exactly.
Exxon earlier and PubMatic earlier.
PubMatic, definitely so. That, I think, now is going to help connect the dots where people are going to be able to source that premium quality inventory at prices they're happy to pay, but in an automated way.
Well, you don't have everything in the middle taking all the cuts, right? So it can actually go straight through.
And I think you have the data now to make sure that premium inventory is going to get you the outcome. And that's what people are buying now, right? They're buying outcomes. I mean, this podcast is about commerce media and about, Vudoo as well is about ensuring that we can make shopping moments happen. We can have commerce actually happen through media. I know that Adnami as well, with your formats, you're doing a bit in this space as well.
Yeah. So interestingly, me and Sarah met at the DLL lunch, which is where I've just come
last
from.
year?
That was last year.
There you go.
Yeah.
We do have a wonderful partnership.
And,
with
She's
the
here somewhere. She's out doing her thing.
I've been with Adnami now for a year, and as you say, so we do like big high impact formats, but part of the reason that we did want to introduce some shoppable elements to what we're doing is, as you say, we want to get closer to the outcomes piece, because a big part of also what we do at Adnami is focusing on attention. And we all kind of know that attention is a very strong proxy for recall and outcomes, which is ultimately where everyone wants to get to.
100%.
But attention, again, a bit like quality of inventory, it sort of had its big moment kind of like 4 or 5 years ago, then went a bit kind of quiet and is now coming back again. But a lot of the times when I talk to this sort of the attention specialists within the big agency groups, they've already moved past it. They've gone to outcomes.
Yes.
And so actually,
that's
I had a very interesting, so had a very interesting conversation yesterday with a chap that works for one of the big agency groups, and he's global VP of outcomes. And we were looking at, okay, how do we help support in the multiple different ways that they're looking to achieve that? And attention is still a big part of it, but it's not the end of the conversation.
We obviously work in transactable media. But one thing that people skip over, it's not a silver bullet just to be able to offer the transaction. You still need attention. You still need to create that relationship from a brand perspective. So creativity, the formats, nice formats in quality environments, as you're talking about with, the resurgence of publishing that you're seeing, is that ability to find those pockets of inventory that are premium. And if you're going to do that, you're going to need premium creative. You're going to need to get people's attention.
We've talked about it a lot the last couple of days.
Well, absolutely. Creative is supposed to be, like this is a stat that I've read somewhere at some point, but I just now repeat as if it's gospel, that the performance of an ad is based 50% on the creative.
100%.
We always kind of talk about this like sort of perfect trifecta of what we do at Adnami, because it's the creative, then it's the access to the premium publisher, and then it's got the attention measurement and optimization built in. You need to have all of that, but to really get a customer to take an action, buy a product, then you need to have the contextual relevancy, you need to have the brand trust,
what we talk about
loyalty, and so
you need all those pieces in place.
Exactly, and then you've got the optimal kind of environment. And look, I am biased, although I work for an ad tech company now. Pretty much
clearly very passionate, which is great.
Pretty much my whole career has been working publisher side. And I remember back when I started in the industry, we were still asking Jeeves for a start. Like Google wasn't even. Ask Jeeves. So Google wasn't even really a thing then, which just blows my mind.
My first social media was MySpace, I think. There you go.
So I don't know if this would have been such a big thing for you guys, but for us in the UK, it used to be that buying a homepage takeover on MSN was almost like the equivalent of getting the centre break in X Factor on a Saturday night.
100% it was.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
And there was that time when you went really creative with what you could do with the takeover. They were all interactive. The eye blasters of the world, those sort of guys came along.
And so how did we get from a place of going, well, look, everyone's moving online. There's a huge amount of web traffic. You want to capture people's attention. Like, there's a reason so much money goes into digital out of home and out of home. It's because it captures attention, right? So if you know that having these nice, big, flashy formats and stuff is the way to capture attention on web or on mobile web, and that is where the majority of people are spending 7 hours, what is it on average, a day on their mobile phone? Like, can you tell me one ad you've seen in the last 24 hours on your phone? What's happened is this programmatic ecosystem has got everyone buying the cheapest inventory possible, which is the really small banners, maybe an MPU. You're in massive, heavy ad ratios. It's very hard to get stand out.
And the consumer and the experience is coming last.
Exactly. And so actually a publisher that, again, a bit biased because I've worked for them twice in my career, Telegraph, very interesting approach to what they do from a display advertising perspective. Because again, it's not their only monetization strategy. A lot of publishers are now subscription, membership, donation first. So that then means you have a more, but a more considered, pared back, potentially advertising solution. So it's not off-putting to folks that you're asking to pay for access to the content. But they do far fewer ads, one ad on the page, but it's a big, nice, flashy,
contextually relevant,
attention grabbing,
color, voice, like it's creative, right?
But the problem is, it's not cheap to buy. You could be looking at CPMs for those formats anywhere from, 30 quid down to 20 quid versus people buying in the open web MPUs at, 50p or less. And so because we're in this system now where everyone's just trying to buy the cheapest audience eyeballs possible across the web, there's not a lot of high impact inventory out there, and it's not easy to transact high impact programmatically either. That was the problem we initially looked to solve as Adnami, because publishers all have different specs for skins and mobile mid scrolls and those big formats. Quite often creative on one publisher wouldn't render the same on the other, so we were like, right, we just need a one tag solution. Everyone goes through the same certification process, and then that format will look exactly the same on A, B, C publisher, just to make it easier, because you can get it. I understand why agencies want to automate their buying. No one wants to go back to the days of faxing 10 IOs or whatever that.
No, thanks.
When I first started in publishing, you had to get the triplicate sign. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever take one to a lunch?
Yeah, absolutely. Or at least we did it on the coaster and then put it in triplicate. Yeah.
I want to kind of throw your recent announcement in regards to Atria, because that's a really big moment when it seems like there's some power coming back to a collection of publishing. Could you unpack that a bit more for us?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so Atria, it's a really interesting one, and it's something that's been in conversation for quite a while, but it's one of those things where you've got multiple stakeholders and to get everyone to sort of come together. I kind of look at that as almost a little bit of the big lifestyle, or mags publishers coming together and almost creating their own sort of version of an ozone, but just in a slightly different way.
Right.
And so they're using the kind of the common thread of permutive audiences.
Right.
So basically what they're going to do is, and what they are doing is going out to market and saying, look, if you want that scale that you might be getting via some of the big walled gardens or the platforms, but you want to know that you're in premium, trusted, quality editorial environments and have that contextual element and be able to reach certain audiences
and reach a scale as well.
Exactly, scale. You can do it through one place. And the way they've set themselves up is so smart. So it's kind of like a super PMP. And the agencies can buy into it, and you don't know how much of your money is going to A, B or C publisher within the mix. All you know is if you go in there and say, okay, I'm Sky and I want to reach housewives with kids for this campaign, that's the audience. It'll be the permutive audiences. That will be it. And you'll be running across all of those premium brands. And then where we come into it is we're now going to help them with the high impact element of that.
Right.
Gotcha.
So they launched
great audiences at impact, same format, working across all the premium environments. Beautiful.
Exactly. And then work towards that attention story.
Fantastic.
So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then hopefully with our partnership, we'll add a bit of shoppable to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which everyone will be, really excited for. I mean, the stuff that we've done with Vudoo so far it's gone down really well.
Yeah. What was interesting about that is how effective, the old 4Ps were. As soon as there was a price point promotion, the creative, we had several retailers for the same product. And as soon as one went on price point promotion, they were all preferring that. The insights for the brand were amazing.
Yeah. And also, I would argue a brand that you wouldn't think would be like a typical, someone looking for a shoppable experience.
No. For our non-UK listeners, it's an ice cream brand.
It's an ice cream brand. Yeah. But it's not unusual. That's really putting the power of the shopping capability into the consumer. Don't dictate to the consumer how they shop. It'll just allow them to shop.
Yeah. Really, really smart.
Yeah.
What a great partnership to be part of.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're really excited about it.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
We've got a little activation happening tomorrow at the campaign party. I think you guys might be getting some kind of inside scoop here, because I think I think the press release doesn't go out until tomorrow.
Oh, fantastic. You heard it here first. Commerce Media Matters.
Yeah. So if there's a session that you're coming up that you haven't been to, is there a superstar that you're going to want to see? Are you going to one of the concerts? What are you looking forward to?
Really, what are you looking? Is there something stand out?
Do you know what? That's a really good question. Right, let's start with the fun stuff. I've heard a rumour that Shakira is going to be performing somewhere.
Oh, really?
What? And so basically, if I've heard this wrong and it doesn't happen, you need to edit this bit out, basically.
No, my daughter's going to want to know about that.
It'll just show how ill-informed I am, basically. But I'm if there is even
that's okay.
a 5% chance of Shakira being at this party, I'm going to be there 100%.
That's okay. Last year, Sarah, which you know well, she thought that it was Dua Lipa, not Diplo. She got confused. Yeah, she'll hate me for saying that, by the way.
Okay, so that's any other fun stuff?
Shakira?
Yeah, so that's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this activation for the collab that we've got tomorrow. We've got some really interesting clients that are going to be attending that with us that we're going to be able to talk to.
Yep.
We've already signed the first campaign now for the high impact via Atria, which is super exciting given that it's not officially launching until tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
everyone's like super pumped, super excited for that. And then, to be honest, the bit that I love most about Cannes is, so I do the same classic thing every year, which is I overfill the diary, like back to back with meetings, and then maybe like 50-60% of them happen. But always the most interesting things are when you just bump into someone that you didn't expect to, or someone introduces you to someone else and you end up having a conversation. And that is what I love most about Cannes. I've already had a few of those so far.
So recent times, you know, big formats, we love the creative, we love the big formats, so we're obviously partnering with you. What are some great results you've seen? Is there any great case studies that stand out in mind that you wanted to cover?
Every brand that we've worked with, where we've implemented our attention optimization and measurement, have seen a remarkable uplift in all the typical media metrics. But our secret sauce is the attention measurement. And effectively what we're trying to do is lower everyone's cost for buying attention.
Right.
Because something that we experience in the Nordics versus over here is, so we were born out of the Nordics. And the price difference over there between buying standard display and high impact is much narrower. Over here, there's a much bigger gulf.
Disparity.
And that, I think, is part of the reason that folks have shied away from buying the higher impact formats. And almost like, you know, the big social platforms are sort of stolen the march from a performance narrative when it comes to both price and price per performance and things like that. So the conversations that I'm having at the moment, which are particularly interesting, is where we're like, right, okay, we've now driven down your cost for buying attention on a high impact to a point where it is now on a plan so obvious that it is costing you more money to buy to get attention from double MPUs than it is from buying skin.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So even though I feel like I'm explaining this terribly, we can blame it on the last glass of rosé. But so even though a typical buyer might look at a plan and go, well, I can buy this format over here for £5 or this format over here for £30, and both might give me a click-through rate of this.
Yep.
Like, okay, what does click-through rate tell you? It tells you about the people that clicked on your ad. It doesn't tell you about, anything else. Actually, now all of a sudden you can start to compare apples with apples in a different way. And also what has been really interesting is working closer with some of our agency partners, where we're now comparing apples with apples when it comes to buying attention and video performance on social.
That's an interesting one.
There's obviously a lot that's been happening in the social space recently. Obviously the announcement as well that they want to ban the social platforms for under 16s.
Yes,
we have the very in Australia. I think we're the first ones.
Meta have obviously had their big moment very recently. So we've run a few sort of like head-to-head comparison campaigns where we've said to the agency, okay, you want to measure buying video on the cost per completed view of 3 seconds. Right, we get it. And we know that you can get that very cheap via some of those other platforms we've spoken about. Okay, you give those guys 50% of the budget, you give us 50% of the budget, exact same video creative. We'll then take the results that you get, we'll push it through our attention methodology, and we will tell you where it's more cost effective to buy those 3-second video views.
Yep.
Spoiler alert, across the open web.
Great.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Massively. 70% more cost efficient.
That's huge.
So that for me is a really, as you say, a great insight, because even if I think back to when I was agency side, 2018, 2019, there were initiatives then. How can we divest spend out of A, B, C platform?
Yeah, where we're over investing. Yep.
Where are the alternatives?
Yeah.
And those initiatives are still happening now.
But now you've got the stats to show that this is worth its while.
Wow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Last question. If you're on the way home on the plane and you've accomplished something at Cannes this week, what will it be?
Ooh, that's a really good question. No blisters.
Great answer.
No blisters.
No blisters.
No blisters.
Yeah.
No terrible drunk karaoke impromptu.
That doesn't sound very fun.
On a yacht.
Okay.
I know, and it's absolute bollocks that I'm saying it as well, because I already done at least 3 renditions of Cher. I think at least 2 of them were last night. More seriously, I think to have spent some real quality time with the Adnami crew, the folks that are doing the same job as me in other markets that I don't get to spend a lot of time with, learning from them, sharing with them.
A lot of value in that.
Huge amount. Yeah. And then trying to connect some of those dots with the conversations we're having with our most important partners.
Yeah.
Just so we can supercharge some of the conversations and the partnerships that we're doing. And then I think lastly, I'm really hoping that I know it's going to land really well, the new partnership with Atria.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sounds so
Well, you've got your
cool.
first campaign locked, and good luck for that.
We'd love to do a follow-up on how that goes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so standard display launched, high impacts launching, not long to be attention shoppable.
Fantastic.
Winning.
Conor, welcome to Commerce Media Matters. It feels like my first year I ran into you. So it's been 5 years in the making to get you in our van. I think we're going to do this every year from now on. It's been very popular with people with air conditioning mainly. I'm not sure about the content. It was more that they want to get inside.
The air conditioning's pretty good. So,
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So you landed Sunday.
Yep.
It's been all go. What are you hearing on the ground at the moment? What's the big trend?
Yeah, I think what's been the big trend in my conversations, though this may be selection bias on where I'm spending time, is thankfully not agentic, because I think the term agentic is way overused.
Yes.
And
we'd agree with that.
Most people, all it means is some efficiency on your existing workflow, which is non-differentiating, is completely table stakes. And based on my LinkedIn, apparently it's very easy to build agents. So instead, a bunch of my conversations, and this is really how I think of agentic or where the opportunity is on the decisioning side, right? So what AI starts to unlock is more of the spectrum of decisions that used to be static to be made more in real time. So if you think about even the advent of programmatic, you went from static campaign decisions and static execution to more static campaign decisions and real-time execution.
Yep.
What AI starts to unlock is now real-time campaign decisions, whether that's what audience or data you're using, what creative you should be bringing forth, what inventory, what personalization, like making those in real time to what are the business objectives, right? As people talk about outcomes, that's ultimately what you're trying to do. And so that has been the biggest topic that I have been discussing with people. But again, a little bit of selection bias, because I'm seeking those that I believe are doing decisioning. So,
well, all that I'd say to that is that so far we've talked about from an AI perspective, it seems like people are talking about getting the brilliant basics right.
Yeah.
And the efficiency play is the main thing. And now they've got those brilliant basics right. Now they're going to see what they can really do and start to test the waters.
Efficiency is table stakes with AI. Effectiveness is where you can differentiate.
That's right. And so I saw you with decisioning. There's now agentic CDPs.
Agentic CDPs is apparently a thing.
Tell us about that.
A company High Touch, who has been a CDP forever. They were called a reverse or composable CDP with reverse ETL. So they did not take data from your warehouse. They built on top of it, right?
Yeah.
They've been doing this for years. What they have been doing over the last 2 or 3 years is making this shift towards decisioning for marketers. And so instead of just helping you with the customer segmentation and all the details there, actually telling you when and what to be sending to consumers through a lot of marketing channels.
Right,
last year or so, they've been bringing that more into the advertising space as well. And I think the agentic CDP there is really about, a decisioning layer CDP, and then push everything else to execution. So make your decisions here, and then you can push it to other channels. Literally 2 days later or a day later, they're, probably one of their biggest partners, Databricks, announced an agentic CDP as well, which is just, funny coincidence of timing. But Databricks is seeing the same thing. We sit on all this data, which means we have the best access to bring, predictive insights and modeling on top of that to help marketers or enterprises of all forms make decisions, right? And so I think it's really this sort of weighted gravity moving towards decisioning is at the heart of what agentic CDP is.
And a while back you talked about outcomes, AI, and content. I think it was the three. Was it the three?
Yeah. It's the sort of like the big moving weight in this space. So for years, when we do our state of digital media, we end up talking about channels, like what's happening in CTV, what's happening in commerce media, what's happening in mobile app. But over the last 2 to 3 years, is really, you can't go talk about individual sectors It's really about what's happening more architecturally, right? So what's happening around AI, and again, that started with efficiency stuff, but we see opportunities with effectiveness. How does that impact in measurement and everything else? That blends together with outcomes, right? If you can effectively measure outcomes, that gives you the predictive insights. So then to go optimize buying, around those predictive decisions. And then the media side is just where consumers are consuming media or who's monetizing it. So obviously we've had the explosion of commerce media, or everything's an ad network, right? So, new surface areas
and the promise
up.
of the transactionable outcome.
Exactly.
And that's exactly where I was leading it. Who's doing that well?
I think we're still happening a little bit in early innings there and sort of figuring that out. I mean, the huge focus, the interesting thing about commerce media is it's not, when it started, everyone talked about it as this new channel. And what we always talked about was it's a channel and a layer, right? So it's, yes, there's new inventory, but then the opportunity is how do you use that data and that consumer touch point in new and unique ways off platform, right? And sort of spread this across. It's still hard to do some of the transacting stuff, but we keep incrementally moving, further and further to that.
Universal cart, and those sorts of things are starting to be there. Yeah,
exactly. And then, and you see it in social and social commerce and all the rest. And how can you take that into other channels? So I think we're seeing those iterations get closer and closer. I think there's, there's not a single, there's format, right? And stuff like you guys do on that end. And then you've got to combine that with really strong data to go and find those right customers and put the right experience at the right time. So, I think we're moving along that pathway. To me, it still feels early in that space as you get consumers used to it as well. And frankly, commerce is hard. I mean, you've seen like a Meta pull in and out of shoppable commerce and shoppable ads.
OpenAI tried it.
OpenAI's tried it. So it's an evolving piece for sure.
Nice. In the commerce and retail media sector, we sort of, the last year really felt like people were getting their ducks in a row. It was about on-site only. This year, it does feel like they are looking at the third-party inventory piece as well, and to pull that all together. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. This has been a big trend. I think the biggest players are focusing very heavily on that. I think longer tail wants to find those opportunities, but it's much harder. I think they need to think about it more from a aggregated standpoint. Because
the fragmentation is crazy, right?
Fragmentation is great for independent ad tech, though, right? That fragmented signal and fragmented partners means they're not big enough to go build it themselves. There's going to be Amazon, there's going to be, Walmart. In fact, just a half an hour ago or so, Walmart announced the acquisition of Vibe, so to move even more into offsite media and on CTV. So there's absolutely a channel there. I think the biggest guys are trying to own the system themselves, and then you've seen, I think increasing the opportunities for the other players to make sure they're getting data accessed in the right way, built into audience, and help drive that value. But I see that layer as the bigger opportunity with commerce media.
So we're going to see plenty of partnerships then for that second layer, or we're going to see some consolidation. What are we going to see? Where's the smart money flowing?
It depends on what you mean in consolidation. So I think, are you going to see retailers consolidate to maximize their retail media? No, I don't think it's a big enough, chunk for there. I think you're going to see consolidation through partners, and then you'll see partners sort of rise to the top of who can do this very well.
Okay.
Whether they need to merge to make that happen, I think is sort of dependent on where it is.
Yeah.
I could see consolidation of data platforms and the people that are very good on that side, and execution platforms, but not necessarily whether it needs to be execution platforms or things along those lines. It'd sort of be pieces of the stack coming together.
What's really been really interesting to me as well is the orchestration layer. There's a lot, there's the Osmos, the Top Sorts, those sorts of guys, and they are also trying to get into the third party activation on the media side. What's interesting in that space? Have you seen anything? Who's doing some good stuff there?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of them are doing different interesting things. Upcoming players like Osmos and Top Sword. You've got the big players around Criteo and Kevel and some of the others. I think they're all sort of centralizing around some of these capabilities. They've got deep retailer relationships, which is a very strong standpoint to be in initially. Yeah. A lot of it has started on social first, right? Because those are easily accessible channels. I think those that start to break out and find ways to really scale off platform in other channels is a huge opportunity. But it's hard. Even Criteo, who has a huge offsite capability, that's still a difficult thing to scale in a very big way. So I think we're still in early innings there. It's got to come together with some of the other programmatic pipes too, and so who can crack that well has a big opportunity.
Yeah, so those ecosystem partnerships, I think, are going to really start to. Well, I think next year we'll see those ecosystems really evolved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially as that ecosystem also needs to find new data, new supply, you see the trade desk and others moving into even on-site retail media in ways they didn't years ago. So.
Yeah, which for that middle layer that we were just talking about before is fantastic when you have partners that you can, like PubMatic and those sorts of guys that you can partner with to make that happen.
Yep, absolutely.
If there's one big session this week that you've either been to or you're looking forward to at Cannes, what's the one you didn't want to miss?
Really, I don't go to a lot of sessions in Cannes.
You are the session, right?
I am. I mean, it's more. I'm in meetings pretty much the entire time, running up and down the Croisette. So I actually am going to try to go to this commerce media one this evening with PackView and QSIC and a few others that, and bringing some people together to actually argue about what's going on in commerce media. That's what I like. A panel where everyone's agreeing with each other is not that interesting to me. I want to see people actually challenge each other and get into it. So.
Yeah. What do you want to get out of Cannes this year?
Yeah, for me, Cannes is sort of twofold. So one, getting to meet with a bunch of CEOs that are just in areas I'm not, so reconnecting, catching up on business, and then spending time with strategic sort of incepting ideas. This isn't where you try to go close a deal. This is the really build the strategic opportunity. Get them focused on what they could do with assets, build some of those connections, and that's really the goal.
Yeah. I've asked it before, but I'm going to ask it more directly. Where is the smart investment going in ad tech at the moment? You're in the know.
Yeah, I mean, the smart, look, you can see where capital is going, right? It's going into people who can control an aspect of that decisioning. A lot of margin was controlled by who controlled the workflow, right? And then, data was bought through that, partners were bought through that, and a lot of people could scale together. But that sort of workflow moat is going away with, agentic capabilities and how people are leveraging AI. And the question is which platform is helping me make these decisions? And I view it, there's, horizontal paths like what a High Touch is doing. There's horizontal paths like an Index is doing on the supply side decisioning about how to, bring some of that supply signal into and then I think there's more channel-specific decisioning. So if you look at the mobile app ecosystem with companies like, App11 and Unity and Liftoff and Moloko, they sort of, within that channel, you're giving them money and they're making decisions about how to drive the business objective you're asked for. Like you're not coming and choosing, I want this data and this piece of inventory and, that audience. They're making a lot of those decisions. There's aspects of that with commerce media, especially with marketplaces, right? It can be very sort of machine learning, AI driven decisioning. I look at those sort of pockets about where there's opportunities to drive that. And when you really see that working, the scale happens fast, right? You can see the growth, because if you're giving me $1 and I give you $1.20 in return from a marketer perspective, you sort of spend that all day long until that efficient frontier starts to drop down. So this is exactly what scaled Meta and Google, historically. We're seeing it happen in the mobile app ecosystem. We're seeing it in pockets of commerce media. I think it's harder with a traditional retailer. That stuff we're starting to come around to that. And then you're seeing in other, little pockets of people that, unique channels, unique opportunities. I mean, performance CTV, the deal that Walmart just did is exactly tied to that, right? It's about driving that same sort of interaction into a new channel.
Yep. And so I saw your AI Limisphere.
Yep. From
a marketer's perspective, with all those logos and all those other players, with commerce media, with the traditional media, with social media, how does someone navigate all this? Is it going to get simpler because of AI? Like, how does one be creative in this world now with all this infrastructure, all these ad tech players?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it gets easier in the longer term. It's not easier in the short term, that's for sure. I think the biggest thing is, I think from a marketer perspective, right, CMO is a terrible job historically as far as it goes. Like the average tenure is 2 years. They're rarely sort of in the board conversation. They're the easiest person to blame when things aren't going right. It's a tough job. Like it is a hard position to be in. And that's because it's been very hard to tie marketing and advertising to actual outcomes. If you can start to turn on that flywheel where what you do from a marketing advertising perspective is very clearly tangible to driving results.
Yep. That $1.20 versus the $1 spent. Yep.
You move from this discretionary chief marketing officer to more of the chief growth officer, right? You're part of very clearly driving that growth. It can be tested. It aligns CMOs and CFOs a lot more, which is also a great thing to be. And AI starts to unlock that because the sort of ability to measure probabilistic signals and determine how it's driving incremental value and things of that nature is just more possible now than ever before. Now, me saying that to executing that at practice scale is very hard and is a much longer term thing to do. But I think we're starting to get there. So, our advice is, one, don't have your head in the sand. You've got to be playing and testing with all these things, and sort of that agility is the most important, side of things.
That's right. And so your prediction we're sitting here next year, and hopefully you're on our podcast again, your prediction of where we're going to go in 3 to 6 months time, maybe not a whole year, because a whole year is a long way out in this world right now. What are we going to be saying in the next 3 to 6 months?
I do think if everyone is announcing agentic right now, they're probably going to be announcing decisioning in 3 to 6 months.
You're ahead of the game.
It'll be,
as always.
I think there will be a lot of this. I'm not the only one saying it, so relying on other smart people as well.
Okay, so you heard it here first. Next year will be the year of decisioning.
Yes, I think that would be critical. We're starting to see some chess moves being made in and around this broader space, whether it's Publicis LiveRamp or this announcement from Walmart today and a few others. That starts to be catalysts for other things. So I think in the retail media and commerce media space, there's been a lot of consolidation discussions for years, and I think we might start to see some people making actual moves there. So
okay. So Alice, welcome to Commerce Media Matters.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
How's your Cannes been?
Very humid.
Yes.
I'm today very busy, but luckily the trainers are on.
You're in the air conditioning
on.
now.
I'm in the aircon now, so hopefully you guys haven't got.
And you're a Cannes expert, aren't you?
Well, 4 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's an expert.
That's about me. I'm about 4 years in. Yeah.
And so you've hit the ground running, I'm sure. You've had bazillion meetings, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What's the themes that are sticking out at the moment so far?
Well, I think commerce has shown up in a really big way this year. And I think commerce, not retail.
Yes.
Marriott, the execution that they've got there is phenomenal. So there's a lot more about that. I think, like
DoorDash ads, all those guys.
Everyone, even like Mercado Libre, everyone is here this year. I think it's great. Obviously AI.
What's that?
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of it. So that's definitely in a big way. I think for me, though, it's trying to get through the marketing headlines into what actually it means. And
what's tangible, what's demonstrable, what's working.
And maybe that's a commerce thing in me. We have to measure everything, right?
I think what's what we've seen, we've a lot of the themes is actually that AI has actually been this year. It's kind of okay, we've got blown up about it last year. Everyone's kind of heads are all spinning. But this year it's about, what's actually working.
Yes.
Please.
There's a lot more demos as well.
Please show us.
Yeah, it's not like, staged videos and stuff like that. It's actually, live demos.
Working examples. And there's some case studies about how things how's it going. And relating to commerce media, we were just talking about how many people have shown up. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your role?
Yeah, sure. So I work at Nectar 360. So we're the in-house retail media loyalty and insights business for the Sainsbury's Group. So Sainsbury's Grocery, Argos GM. And my role in a nutshell is anything that uses the internet to work. So whether that be the proposition development across in-store, online, off-site, or actually all of our technology that we've built. So we launched a product called Pollen last year. And we're back this year. We launched a press release this morning that kind of shows the impact of how that's delivering. And we will kind of, be talking about that tomorrow.
Oh, is it the big news, big launch?
It's an evolution, right? It's exactly the piece we were talking about in AI. Last year, we told the market about it. We kind of explained what was going to happen. And then this year, we're bringing all of the results from the campaigns that we've run.
Commerce media, we've also been, we're seeing, I guess, last year, everyone was launching. There was lots of new launches. They showed up at Cannes. This year, it seems like they're in adolescent stage, to quote one of the people we've already spoken to today. And, third party and offsite media seems to be the big theme, that everybody's sort of got their on-site stuff happening and they're now looking at other ways. Would you agree with that? Or
I would probably say we're a little bit ahead of the market. So we built our own DSP 5 years ago.
You guys are quite mature.
Yeah, right? We are very mature. So I think, for us, actually, we've been looking at some of the network activity that's come out of the UK. So the announcements for dunnhumby and SMG.
Yeah, I just saw that.
So I think that's probably the UK are now starting to think about actually, given our size as a country and the volume of media networks, how do we actually pull everything together? So I think that's been super interesting. A lot about measurement as well. I don't know if you saw Albertsons and Criteo have just announced AI sponsored products integration. So I think it depends where you are. I guess
given we are more in the mature side of it, that's kind of where we focus on and what are the other big guys doing.
One of the other themes that comes through, it's been coming in the short period of yesterday and today, 2 days of camp, is that there's obviously some consolidation that's going to come, but also that maturity. And you might have gone through this already. That a number of retail media networks have quickly moved with technology and brought it in and let's get it done and just do it for me. And then as we move through it, realize actually we might want to do things a bit different, and that's not really working for us. And we're going to start maybe looking at some different products. And so migration is a big part of going from one vendor to another.
Yeah.
Have you been through that cycle?
I think we've been on the do we build everything ourselves cycle.
Yep.
And we're now in the where do we partner where it makes sense and where do we build where it creates a differentiation that we need. I think in terms of the partners, we're constantly looking at who should we be working with, who are the right people. You can become a bit obsessed in this industry, I think, about looking at other people and going, I have to do that because they've done that. So we've definitely made a conscious choice to not kind of follow the crowd on everything. We've been in a cycle recently as well about kind of thinking about our on-site technology and what does that need to look like for a future state, etc. But like the reality of it is that the cost of migration is substantial. So when you're thinking about unpicking a system, there has to be that true value in it, and I think that's probably part of the equation that we struggle to kind of work out.
Yeah. Okay.
And you you developed your own DSP. Do you think that gives you a distinct advantage?
We do because it allows us to continue to own all of the data, all of the audience sets. It allows us to set our own direction. It allows us to kind of move with the technology, and ultimately that's the platform that was the bedrock of Pollen and everything that we brought on top of that. So it definitely helped us to accelerate within that space. I think we've learned a lot along the way, and there's probably things that we would have done differently. With hindsight, everyone would, right? It was quite a bold move when we did it, and it definitely cost a lot of money to do. But it's returning for us, and brands really love it. Agencies actually really love it. So we have both a self-serve and a managed service operation. And we found that the agencies lent really heavily into the self-serve piece early on, and actually the adoption there's been pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. As far as results for clients, I mean, retail media is the word incrementality. Yes. It's one of those words that it's charged with emotion on what do you mean by incrementality, etc. Are brands seeing true incremental results using retail media, or is it just an extension of their trade stuff that they've always done?
Yeah, so I hate to keep harping on about Pollen. So from Pollen, we set out with a clear plan that we wanted to be the easiest to work with within the market, but we also wanted to really create market-leading measurements. So what we have done within that platform is we have iROAS as standards. So that will take out all of your kind of the typical sales that we'd expect, taking into account any uplifts that you might see from weather and all of those things. And much smarter than people than me worked that out. And what it's showing is that actually the majority of our campaigns are delivering substantial incrementality.
And that's an important
that's
piece
fantastic.
And we've extended that out also, so we have full MTA as well across all of our channels, including in-store, which is, we think really cool.
That's unreal.
And it starts to change the conversation, actually.
Can I ask you about, obviously, endemic is a big part of it.
Yes.
But I'd love to learn more about what's happening with non-endemic. I'm always really interested to see how RMNs and other brands kind of approach in non-endemic. Can you tell us got any good stories there around what happens, what you do with your non-endemic?
So I think we're still on the journey with non-endemic. We've been doing non-targeted non-endemic for a number of years. So the example that I always look at there is like Apple Pay, for example, and having that within the checkout, because actually it's not a brand we do work with. So there is a nice connection there. We've been looking at probably over the last 12 months around what should our targeted journey be with non-endemic. So how do we start to utilize the customer insight that we have targeting customers in an offsite world?
That's the exciting part, right?
Yeah,
that's really exciting.
It's exciting, but it's also really nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And
it's complex too, right?
It's very complex. You've got to get all your privacy policies right. You've got to have all the right permissions within your data. And for us, it's really been about, the core of everything we do is how do we keep the customer at the heart of every decision. So we have quite a complex matrix of actually where do we think that there is customer added value from us serving a non-endemic advertisement. And we more on that to come. We've got some conversations already going on with some of the agencies around how we can do that. But you're not going to see adverts for Vauxhall and all that kind of stuff being targeted off Nectar data, because it will be very customer focused.
Yeah, right.
And so 3 to 6 months time, where do you think the big moves are going to be in the retail media ecosystem? What
is it moving fast? Is it moving that fast?
I guess it depends what you mean by big moves, because I think there's the tangible big moves, and then there's the PR big moves, right? And the vanity statements. I think 3 to 6 months, we're absolutely going to be talking more around, what is the integration with LLMs, be that owned or be that otherwise operated.
Those conversations are now in flight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've launched our own conversational LLM, and we're going, oh my God, like now customers are searching for, how do I organize a dinosaur kids party? How do I translate that into a sponsored product wording? Do you know what I mean? But how do we translate that? But then what is it telling us about our customers? Yeah, so that's super interesting. And then you've got the whole, OpenAI and all of the moves that they've made over the last few months. So I think that'll be one piece. I think, this network concept and this consolidation concept, I think will continue. Or
complementary.
Hopefully complementary. That's where I would want to see it going, is how do the complementary networks come together as opposed to the big guys swallow the little guys up. I don't think that's beneficial for anyone, right? No. So I would hope it would be that way. Like, I can't comment on that because it's not something that's in our plan. And then I think we'll still see, the innovation that you guys are doing in terms of, full shoppable commerce. I keep saying, for me, particularly in the UK, like, CTV is completely untapped. It's such a massive opportunity that we
Free-to-air
have
is still
there.
very strong.
And I think there's a massive opportunity for innovation there. And actually, how do we start going through that? And you guys showed me a demo earlier, and I was like, for McDonald's activity they did with
they're doing their job. That's good to hear. Thank you.
But it was but there was just a moment there where I went, oh wow, actually this is really cool. Like, this is something that it's probably we've not thought about. It's not fully on our plan, because I was like, oh, you guys are like QR codes on CTV ads, and then when I saw that full personalized journey, I was like, oh, this is proper brand building for commerce.
Exactly.
And so I think we'll hopefully see more of that innovation.
I think there's a lot of pretending in the shoppable ads world as well. There's a lot of things that are called shoppable ads that really aren't shoppable ads. So,
not shoppable in the sense, the Vudoo sense, which is really going to, that full browsing experience to check out. Right. And that's what we're powering. So
and I think for us it's interesting because as a retailer, you guys will know this better than anyone. It's like, how do you merchandise the product and have a product experience? And I think that's maybe where OpenAI, when they just shoved a checkout now button. If you can't physically interact with the product and see it and check the price and check the size and interact with it, you're not going to get that engagement enough to get that commerce signal and check out.
And I think increasingly in a world of AI, like, we will start to see consumers want more of that, right? They will want more of the brand experience. It's going to move into a solution where actually, trust is going to become increasingly important for consumers. And so building that brand trust and the role of commerce networks within that, I think, is going to become increasingly important.
I know you travel a lot. And I know that you
get around. That's what you're saying.
You get around.
Wow.
And you've always got a great opinion, and you've got a great lens on things. So if I can ask you to kind of tap in for the moment in regards to broader, say, continental Europe. So we always hear great stories about what's happening with retail media networks across Europe. Where would you say, if you said, okay, looking at Europe, where's a particular region that are really kind of doing something really interesting, or that tend to be ahead of the pack? Is there anyone else that stands out to you, particular country, or that might be not directly competitive to you because you're in a different market, but something that you guys go, that country's really going to do some interesting stuff?
I think it's little bits from each country. Okay. If I'm honest with you, when I look at some of the stuff that in Limitel were kind of front of the pack in terms of their omni-channel experience and how they brought everything together. Christian at Reve will know this. I absolutely love what he's done from a digital screen perspective. And, he went 3D very early on within that space and non-endemic, etc. And so I think it's about picking the best bits of all of them, because I think you can become, there's always this, who's better, the UK or the US? If you become too fixated on a singular market or a single competitor, actually you don't kind of retain your own DNA in the bits that you want. Australia, massive kind of technology outfits that have come out of there within this space, right? Not just you guys. So we're always kind of looking at what's going on over there, and what's coming out of that space. And I still say, like, we have a convenience estate as well as a supers estate, and you can't beat Asian convenience. What they do within that space.
I'm in Tokyo next week. That's the best.
So like you have to pick those bits.
Yeah, it was interesting. I just went to NRF in Singapore, and it was interesting. I think Southeast Asia is really poised for
absolutely.
They're probably a little bit behind in a lot with retail media, but I feel like they've got their infrastructure in line, and I feel like they're going to learn from these other markets. And like you said, take the best bits.
And they'll move pretty quick.
Feels like they're going to move really quick.
And don't they have the advantage of watching everyone else's mistakes?
That's right.
Like, wouldn't you want to be the people that just come in now and go, of course I know how to solve this? So
And it was interesting to me because I didn't realize the scale of some of these guys because they're across multiple areas in Asia. That there's these DFI group and those sorts of
huge
things.
footprints.
4,500 stores and things like that. So some big interesting stuff there. I reckon next year we'll see some of the Asian supermarket chains and those guys show up at Cannes.
I hope
too.
so.
Yeah,
I really do hope so.
Yeah.
I think so too.
What about the influencer group? What we've noticed is that they've sort of moved from the back where they were kind of, TikTok bought some influencers over. Now we've got influencers owning parts of the main beach at Cannes.
And influencers talent, right? CAA taking over Cafe Roma, the whole lot. That's a big move.
Yeah. Is influencers a key part of your strategy? Yeah.
It is within Argos. So we've been working in the influencer market probably for around 12 to 18 months now, because actually the products there require more unpacking and more explanation, and actually we do find influencers do an amazing job of that, better than a product detail page. They actually bring it to life, and they bring it to life with personality. So yes, we've been working in that space. We've hopefully got some stuff coming within the grocery space, but you'll have to watch and see.
You got some announcements coming, haven't we?
And when do you fly back?
I fly back Thursday.
So if you're on the plane on Thursday, I've asked this of a few people, and you're sitting there going, that was a successful trip. What do you think you would have accomplished at Cannes this week?
We've got an event tomorrow, so hopefully I don't mess that up. That would be a big tick for me. Do you know what? I've had 2.5 hours of meetings today back to back, and it's been incredible because I've met with people that I've got offices around the corner from me that I've not seen, and I've also met with amazing people like your guys and gone, actually, why are we not doing this? Why can we not accelerate things faster? So I think for me, going back with almost a qualified business development checklist of the things that I want to progress over the next quarter is a successful Cannes for me.
Yeah, sounds right.
It's
a key theme. I think is Cannes is certainly over the 5 years that I've come. That's kind of what people are doing. They're coming here to set an agenda for themselves, and then by next Cannes we want to have accomplished all this.
Quite action orientated.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. Because look, let's be honest. We go to a lot of conferences where it's a lot of hot air and high fives and slapping each other on the backs. But I find Cannes is everyone's really here to go, I need to make this happen after this.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's also really smart people here.
There's really smart people here. There's really smart decision makers that can make things happen. And at the same time, lots of meetings happening, but you actually bump into people, you learn stuff, and they're still like, okay, but what can we do about this? How can we make this happen? Let's change, let's take it with us. It's quite, it's quite tangible.
We had a dinner last night with someone that we've worked with for ages actually, and coming out of the meeting we were like, why haven't we done this? And that's a completely different angle to our strategy that we hadn't thought about. And you go, actually, we meet with this person in London all the time. Maybe it's a Sierra, maybe it's the Rosé. Who knows what it is? But the great ideas seem to come out of Cannes. Yeah, exactly.
It's a festival of creativity.
We're all open to getting it. Yeah, exactly.
Three very different perspectives, but all pointing towards the same conclusion. Commerce is becoming part of every media conversation.
Coming up next, we zoom out even further with Evan Shapiro, James Taylor and Colin Lewis as we unpack the changing media landscape, retail innovation, and where the industry goes from here.
Do you reckon we can stop for a snack?
Thank you for listening to the Commerce Media Matters podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow and subscribe. We're always on the pulse of the ever-changing landscape of commerce media, ready to share the newest trends, insightful perspectives, and expert opinions with you. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep making media that matters. This podcast is executively produced and edited by Priya Tahazadeh, with co-producers Sandy Ho and me, Rachel Fang. This podcast is recorded on the lands of the Bidjigal, Gadigal, and Wurundjeri people, and we wish to acknowledge them as the traditional owners of the land.